In my last video, I shared 20 key questions to answer in your business to understand how healthy it really is. Let's say you've completed this health check and your people element score came in way too low, like less than 40%. That's not just a number, that's a flashing warning light. Low scores in this area mean issues with communication, morale, clarity and training. And if that's happening, you'll already be seeing the impact. Productivity dips, frustrated teams, constant firefighting. But don't panic, because in this video, I'll show you exactly how to use AI to build real-world plans that tackle these issues head-on. Let's get into this. Here's what that low score might be telling you. Team leaders aren't talking to their teams consistently. Staff feel underappreciated or unsupported. People don't get regular feedback on how they're doing. Daily targets aren't clear. And training could be patchy, informal, or missing entirely. These aren't nice to haves. They're the foundation of a stable, productive shop floor, or in fact any business. So let's get practical and show you how AI can help build plans, tools, and generate information to help you move that score really quickly. So let's now go into ChatGPT, my preferred AI agent. And we're going to use a very simple prompt with lots of information. And as a top tip, the more information you give to the prompt, the better quality the answer. So as a starting point, I work in a manufacturing business making soap which is sold into hotels and restaurants through our direct sales routes. We're perceived as a luxury item and our prices command a premium. We've been trading for 15 years and generate a turnover of £5 million a year with EBIT of around £200,000 per year. We recently completed a business-wide health check. Unfortunately, we scored low in the people section of our factory health check. These questions I answered were: do your team managers engage with your team on a daily basis? Are your teams generally happy with the work, pay and conditions? Are your team members given feedback on how they perform their jobs? Are your operatives clear on what they need to achieve each day? Do your teams receive training on how to perform their jobs to an agreed standard? I can't remember my exact answers, but I'd like a plan to make our performance better in all these areas. Please create a 6-week plan to improve communication, engagement, feedback, clarity of daily targets and basic training standards across the shop floor. So let's see what ChatGPT gives us from that. First of all, it gives us a little bit of context in agreeing that yes, low scores in the people element are really common, but also they're one of the fastest areas to get into. And now it goes straight into a 6-week performance improvement plan tailored to a manufacturing business, and it tells us what it's actually focused on: daily engagement, clarity, feedback, training and overall morale. And it's built to fit around the existing team structure. So week 1, set the foundation. Without going through this in massive detail, let's take a look at what it's saying. So it's saying, let's start with visibility, listening and ownership. So do a leadership briefing. As the ops director and production manager, meet with the team leaders and acknowledge the health check results and explain that a 6-week plan is launching to get us to improve. It also mentions doing a daily walk commitment. So through my other videos, you'll know that doing Gemba walks or management walks each day or each week are really important. And it suggests doing one every single day. And it suggests each team leader committing to doing one structured daily floor walk. And it's on engagement. So it's 5 to 10 minutes. And maybe start with a question: how's it going today? Any problems I can remove for you? So it's really proactive and focused on the process. And it also mentions putting in an anonymous feedback box. So it could be physical or digital. What's frustrating people? What's unclear? What they like to fix first? So next on week 2, it talks about daily clarity and micro huddles, making targets visible. So having start of shift huddles and some general agenda points, having a target board so people can see what's going on, and essentially training the team leaders on Kaizen matrix, understanding urgency and importance versus just noise. And then it suggests the production manager to coach the team leaders on what they're seeing. Week 3 moves on to feedback loops and recognition. It talks about using structured one-to-ones with team leaders talking to the team about what's going well, what we can improve. Having a recognition wall, so having shout-outs for people who've done really good work, so we can praise people and show them that actually good work will be recognised. And actually maybe implementing a pulse survey. Pulse surveys are a very quick barometer on how things are going. So do you feel clear on what's expected? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel confident? And we can use those, if it's weekly or bi-weekly, to understand how things are moving. Week 4 takes us to skills check and training standards. So creating a skills matrix or auditing the skills matrix and looking at who can do what, and highlighting red areas for attention, maybe having a mini standard operating procedure blitz, so getting 5 core tasks with variation or safety risk and really going to town on making them the best SOPs they can be. And then it suggests having a buddy system, so matching single skilled with multi-skilled workers so we get more people with more skills. Week 5 moves on to embedding these new routines. So having a weekly ops stand-up, so a very quick meeting with the key team members, talking about issues, feedback, training needs, recognitions, implementing team leader feedback journals so they can keep a log of what's happening, what they've done about it. And then maybe having an observation rotation, so each team leader to do a short walk to learn in an area that they don't usually cover. And then it suggests for week 6 to have a final review and sustain, which is the ongoing part of this CI programme. Continue doing the pulse surveys, continue doing team leader huddle, asking those same questions about what's improved, what needs attention, and what should stay weekly. Making sure the skills matrix and SOP trackers kept up to date, and continue celebrating the wins so the team really understand that this is a long-term change project that's been stimulated by a very short and quick and impactful programme. Then it also gives us some final notes. So don't over-polish. Momentum trumps perfection. Make team leaders the engine. I completely agree. That's about having the team leaders being the interface between senior management and the team and making sure that change is advocated and supported. Then it mentions visibility, feedback and appreciation. And then as a final point, it does suggest if this goes well, we could turn this into a 90-day people plan, which I'm not going to ask it to do at this point. What I'm going to ask it to do is actually give us much more around week 1, which is already fairly detailed. So we can use week 1 to really get into the detail. So let's say, please create a much more detailed plan for this first week so that I can use it as a communications method for team leaders. This ideally would be a step-by-step so everyone knows what's required. And let's just paste week 1 back in there to make sure ChatGPT knows what I'm really looking for. And now we can see week 1 in much more detail. So for anybody who's not been involved in the generation of the plan, or this might be new to them, this gives them so much more insight. So it starts with a purpose. This week is the beginning of a 6-week sprint to improve how we lead and support people across the factory. It gives us a focus, showing up, listening and giving everyone a voice. And it actually gives us now by day. On Monday, let's do the kickoff. So it's a leadership briefing, all team leaders and production and ops and the MD. Gives us a duration and who's to lead. This is led from the top. The MD and the ops director stood there saying, we recognise we've got issues and we want to make things better. It gives us an agenda, sharing the results, explaining why it really matters, outlining the goals, visibility, listening, ownership for week 1, and emphasising it's not about blame, it's about engagement. It does give us part of the script as well, so we can adapt this. And then it gives us daily actions between Monday and Friday. So first of all, daily floor walks, commit this length of time for doing this, and step by step. So pick the right moment, visit each cell or workstation, and use simple open questions. So how's your shift going? Anything getting in the way? Is there anything I can do or pass on? And then to make a log of that in the team leader journal. It gives us some important reminders. And then it tells us about the feedback box. So set up the station by Tuesday, so it starts to inject some pace. Gives us options for a physical box or a QR code, the questions we might use, and then it also builds into the team leader and the ops team responsibilities for how they keep this going. Gives us a check. Then he talks about Thursday being a midweek checkpoint, so a quick touch base for 15 minutes to see how things are going with some suggested questions. And then Friday, a huddle and a weekly recap. So what have we learned, what's gone well, what are the quick wins. Then it also talks about visual reminders, so having posters, telling people what we're doing, and maybe even a mini whiteboard for each team leader to track their walks, which is great for process confirmation and visual management. Then it tells us what support might be required, so slips, journals, briefing slides, rotation sheet, whatever else you might need. And then a final note for team leaders. So this week's about being seen and heard, not fixing everything straight away. Small actions matter, don't overthink, and if it feels difficult or unclear, tell your production manager. So we could actually take parts of this week 1 and go deeper, or we could just copy in week 2 and say, now give us a very granular, similar response as you did for week 1, and we would see the same on week 1. The final thing I'll show is we can ask it then to give us more detail on particular parts. Let's ask it to create a document which can be used for this daily floor walk. Again, I'll paste in the part of the response I was looking for, and let's see now what it gives us. And I've asked it for a PDF so we can print this out straight away. So the team leaders don't have an admin task to create this, and we've got a starting point. So straight away we can see there's a printable PDF guide. Let's take a look. It's very simple. It tells us what it is and who it's for, gives us a time commitment, and when they should be done, and then step-by-step guidance. We could ask it to insert a table, so we could fill it in every week, or we can just leave it as that to get the process moving. It's completely up to you. So these kind of processes and documents are the routines that shift a business from reactive to consistent, confident and people-focused. Hopefully that gave you a really simple and quick introduction into how we can use AI to do some of the thinking for us. But please bear in mind, this is your process and you own it, so AI is an assistant, it's not driving the business for you. Now we have a plan, let's talk about how we make this AI generated content actually stick. So first of all, pilot daily huddles with one team. It mentioned it in the plan, but let's make sure they're sticking. Second, print and laminate the SOP, and let's use them where the work happens. That's how we make these things tangible. And let's use the feedback log as much as we can so we collect data on what's working and what isn't working. We need to make sure we remember to invite operatives to help refine the process and be involved so they can see what's going on. And let's make sure the changes are driven by the people actually doing the work, so it's not pushed down or pushed onto them. So a few final points to go through. A low people score is a signal, it's not a failure. It's your chance to build trust, boost clarity and get your team engaged again. And with the right AI prompts you can have a full people-focused improvement plan in your hands within an hour. If you haven't taken the Manufacturing Health Check yourself, now's the time. I'll leave a link in the description and I'd really love to see the results of your scores. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content in this video and got some value. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to chat more about AI or manufacturing in general, please get in touch by email or comment. See you in the next video.